The breaking point. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Harmony Station, watching the swirling gases of the Perseus Nebula cast their purple glow across the hull of visiting ships. Behind her, the massive chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with the quiet conversations of over 300 species representatives. After 30 years of humanity's presence in the galactic community, these chambers still carried the same patronizing atmosphere they had when Earth first made contact. The Council has reached its decision regarding Earth's petition for full membership status, announced High Speaker Xilax, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. In light of humanity's unique development path, we recommend establishing Earth as a protected development zone for the next century. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. Sarah's hand tightened on the datapad she held, her knuckles white. Beside her, Dr. James Morrison, Earth's chief xenotechnologist, let out a quiet breath. They had expected this, planned for it, but the reality still stung. Protected Development Zone, a diplomatic term for quarantine, for containment, for control. It would mean restricted travel, limited trade, and constant oversight from the Concordet's Development Committee, all under the guise of protecting humanity from premature exposure to advanced technologies. Sarah stepped forward to the speaker's platform. The chamber's acoustic field automatically adjusted to her human voice. The Earth Federation thanks the Council for its careful consideration, she began, her voice steady. Before we respond to this recommendation, we request clarification on one point. Does the Council consider the containment of bioengineered quantum computers within human neural tissue to be a development risk? The chamber went silent. Xilax's crystalline surface flickered with uncertainty patterns. We have no record of human achievements in organic quantum computing. No, Sarah smiled. You wouldn't. She gestured, and Dr. Morrison activated his neural interface. The chamber's holographic displays sparked to life, showing schematics and test results that made several council members rise from their seats in alarm. Just as you have no records of our advances in gravitational manipulation, dark energy harvesting, or consciousness transfer technologies. The Vorex representative, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient mechanical shell, moved forward. These developments are impossible. Your species has only had access to spaceflight for less than 2 centuries. Impossible by your development path, Dr. Morrison spoke up. You see, that's the fundamental flaw in your assessment of humanity. You judge our progress by how well we follow your established patterns of technological advancement. But humans, we don't follow patterns. We break them. Sarah nodded to her team, and across human space, carefully hidden facilities began powering up. Sensors across thousands of worlds would be lighting up with energy signatures that defied conventional understanding. For 30 years, we've shown you what you expected to see. A young, struggling species learning to navigate the cosmos. But that's not who we are. She walked to the center of the chamber, her voice carrying to every corner. Humanity doesn't need protection. We don't need oversight. What we needed was time. Time to understand the true state of galactic civilization. Time to develop our own path forward. Time to prepare for this moment. The chamber erupted in chaos as the first reports began flooding in. Massive structures appearing from seemingly empty space around human colonies. Energy readings that shattered conventional physics models. Ships of impossible configurations slipping between dimensions in ways the Council's best scientists had deemed theoretical. This is a violation of countless regulations. The Mercantile Alliance representative's translator barely kept up with their agitated clicks. You've been deliberately concealing technological advances. No, Sarah interrupted, her voice cutting through the growing pandemonium. We've been developing independently, as is our right. The Council's own charter, Section 7, Paragraph 12. No species shall be compelled to share technological developments achieved without external assistance. We followed every regulation to the letter. We just didn't follow your expectations. High Speaker Xilax's crystalline form had taken on a chaotic pattern, reflecting their distress. The purpose of graduated integration is to prevent destabilization of the galactic order. This level of uncontrolled advancement is exactly why your system is flawed. Dr. Morrison interjected. You've created a galactic society that fears innovation, that stifles creativity in the name of stability. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine beyond established limits. Sarah pulled up another holographic display, showing the true extent of human space. Hidden colonies, massive industrial complexes, research stations pushing the boundaries of known science, all carefully concealed behind sophisticated cloaking technologies. We're not here to destabilize the galaxy. We're here to help it grow, to show you that there are other paths forward than the ones you've walked for millennia. The Arxos defense minister, a beam of living metal, moved to the center of the chamber. And if the Council refuses to acknowledge this revelation, if we maintain our position on Earth's status, then we'll continue on our own path. Sarah replied calmly. We've already established trade relationships with 17 species outside Council space. Our technologies have solved problems that have plagued their civilizations for generations. They've chosen progress over protocol. She turned to address the entire chamber. The galaxy is changing. The only question is whether the Concordat will change with it or become a relic of an outdated philosophy. As if to punctuate her words, a new alert flashed across the chamber's displays. The impossible had happened. A human vessel had just completed a controlled transit through a quantum singularity, a feat that violated everything the Council believed about the laws of physics. We're withdrawing our petition for membership, Sarah announced. Instead, we're extending an invitation. Any species that wishes to participate in true collaborative advancement is welcome to establish direct diplomatic relations with Earth. We believe in sharing knowledge, not controlling it. She gathered her materials, nodding to her team. As they prepared to leave, she turned one last time to the stunned assembly. For 30 years, you've treated humanity like children learning to walk. Now you know the truth. We were simply learning how your world worked before showing you ours. The choice of what happens next is yours. The human delegation walked out of the chamber, leaving behind a council facing the first real change to their power structure in 10,000 years. As the doors closed behind them, Dr. Morrison glanced at Sarah. Think they'll take the offer? Some will, she replied. The younger species, the ones still hungry for growth. The others, she smiled slightly. Well, they'll learn that trying to contain human innovation is like trying to hold back the tide with your hands. In the following hours, as the news spread across Council space, the carefully maintained order of galactic civilization began to shift. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of the game, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. Silent thunder. Admiral Kexry of the Concordat Science Fleet stared at the holographic display with all four of his eyes, mandibles clicking in agitation. The energy readings from human space defied everything he'd learned in 3 centuries of scientific service. His research vessel, the Eternal Inquiry, had been monitoring the situation for the past week, since humanity's dramatic exit from the Council chambers. Another anomaly detected. Admiral, reported his sensor chief, her tentacles dancing across the crystalline control interface. The humans are. They're moving a star. Impossible, Kexry muttered, but he could see it happening. A red dwarf star in what had previously been labeled as uninhabited space was being systematically surrounded by massive structures that seemed to bend reality itself. The star's output was being perfectly contained and redirected through channels that shouldn't exist. Message from Central Command, his communications officer announced. We're to maintain our distance and continue observations only. No direct contact. Kexry chittered in frustration. The scientist in him was desperate to understand how humans had achieved such mastery over gravitational forces. The military officer in him recognized the strategic implications. If humans could move stars, what else could they do? Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as the true extent of human technological development revealed itself. Hidden shipyards emerged from dimensional pockets, producing vessels that ignored conventional physics. Research stations previously disguised as minor mining outposts began broadcasting signals that suggested they had cracked the code of quantum consciousness transfer. In the Concordat's Emergency Command Center, high-speaker Xilax received reports from across Council space. Trade routes were shifting as merchants and travelers began diverting to human territories, drawn by rumors of technologies that could revolutionize their businesses. Several younger species had already announced their intention to establish direct diplomatic relations with Earth, bypassing Council protocols entirely. The Arxos Defense Ministry reports that 3 of their frontier colonies have requested human assistance with their planetary defense systems, and aid reported. The humans apparently demonstrated a method of using quantum entanglement to create impenetrable shields. Xilax's crystalline form pulsed with concern. The careful balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for millennia was unraveling, not through violence or conquest, but through something perhaps more devastating: innovation. On Earth, in the newly unveiled Global Command Center beneath the Himalayas, Dr. James Morrison reviewed the latest data with his team. The quantum neural interface he'd mentioned in the Council chamber hummed quietly in his consciousness, connecting him directly to humanity's vast information network. The Concordat's observation vessels are maintaining their distance, reported Captain Maya Rodriguez, her own neural interface projecting tactical data directly into the room's holographic space. No aggressive moves, but they're definitely trying to analyze our tech. Let them look, Morrison replied, smiling. The more they see, the more they'll realize how much they've limited themselves with their rigid development protocols. A junior analyst rushed into the chamber, her excitement visible, even through her professional demeanor. Dr. Morrison, the Helios project just achieved full containment. We're ready for the first test. Morrison nodded, feeling a surge of pride. The Helios project, humanity's crowning achievement in energy manipulation, represented everything the Council feared about unrestricted technological development. By harnessing the quantum foam of space itself, humans had found a way to generate virtually unlimited energy without the massive infrastructure the Council relied upon. Send word to Ambassador Chen, he instructed. It's time for Phase 2. In the depths of space, aboard the massive research station Prometheus, Dr. Elena Santos watched as the first Helios reactor came online. The station's quantum shielding rippled with excess energy as the device tapped into the very fabric of reality. It was beautiful, efficient, and completely impossible according to Council science. Energy output stable at 300% of projected levels, her team reported. Quantum containment holding. We're ready to begin energy transfer to the colonial grid. Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Council had spent thousands of years perfecting their energy distribution networks, building massive structures to harness the power of stars. Humanity had simply found a better way. But not everyone in the galaxy welcomed these developments. In the shadowy chambers of the Council's inner circle, ancient species who had grown comfortable with their power watched with mounting concern. Humanity hadn't just challenged their authority. They had proven that the very foundation of their technological superiority was built on sand. Admiral Kexry's vessel detected another impossible energy signature, this one dwarfing all previous readings. Something massive was taking shape in human space, something that made his scientific instruments struggle to comprehend the data they were receiving. Admiral, his sensor chief's voice trembled slightly. We're detecting quantum tunneling effects on a scale that shouldn't be possible. The humans appear to be creating a new dimensional space. The implications hit Kexry like a physical blow. The Council had theorized about artificial dimensions for millennia, but had deemed them impossible to create. Yet here were the humans, barely 2 centuries into their spacefaring age, casually rewriting the laws of physics. Back on Earth, Sarah Chen received the latest reports with quiet satisfaction. The Concordat's observation ships were exactly where they were expected to be, watching exactly what humanity wanted them to see. But the real breakthrough was happening elsewhere, in places no Council sensor could detect. The framework is nearly complete, Dr. Morrison reported, his neural interface displaying a complex web of quantum connections spanning human space. Once it's active, we'll be able to demonstrate true faster-than-light communication. No relays, no quantum entanglement limitations, just instant connection across any distance. Sarah nodded. And the Council's reaction? Exactly as predicted. The younger species are already reaching out through unofficial channels. The Arxos, the Viridian Collective, even some of the Mindweaver enclaves, they're all starting to see the possibilities. In the depths of Council space, the ripples of humanity's revelation continued to spread. Trade routes that had remained unchanged for centuries began to shift as merchants sought access to human innovations. Younger species began questioning the Council's development protocols, asking why they should wait centuries for advances that humans had achieved in decades. The Concordat's emergency session had been running continuously for 3 days. High-speaker Xylax's crystalline form showed signs of stress fractures as they attempted to maintain order among increasingly fractious representatives. The humans must be contained. The Eternal Hierarchy's ambassador, a beam of pure energy, pulsed with agitation. Their reckless advancement threatens the very stability of galactic civilization. And how do you propose we contain a species that can move stars? The Viridian representative countered. A species that has proven they've been 10 steps ahead of us, while we thought we were guiding their development. In the observation room of the Prometheus station, Elena Santos watched the quantum display with growing excitement. The framework was coming online, each node lighting up like a new star in the cosmic web. It was more than just a communication system. It was proof that humanity's path of unrestricted innovation, of questioning everything and refusing to accept limitations, had been right all along. Dr. Santos, her assistant, called out, "We're receiving a priority message from Command. They're ready to proceed with the Revelation Protocol." Elena smiled. The Council thought they had seen the extent of human advancement. They had no idea what was coming next. As she prepared the station's systems for the next phase, she couldn't help but think about how far humanity had come, not just in technology, but in vision. While the Council had spent millennia perfecting what they knew, humans had dared to imagine what could be. Admiral Kexru's reports to the Council would later be sealed in their highest security archives, but one line would be quoted for centuries to come. "We thought we were observing a young species learning to walk among the stars. Instead, we were watching an eagle teaching itself to soar, quietly spreading its wings while we lectured it about proper flying techniques." The silent thunder of humanity's advancement was about to become a roar that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The next phase was beginning, and nothing in the Council's 10,000 years of carefully maintained order had prepared them for what was to come. The revelation. The Concordat's Grand Observatory fell silent as the human transmission began broadcasting across every quantum frequency. Dr. Elena Santos' holographic image stood before them, her presence transmitted with a clarity that made the Council's best communication systems seem primitive in comparison. "For centuries," she began, "the galaxy has traveled between the stars through hyperspace corridors, carefully mapped and maintained by the Council. Today, we're going to show you why that's no longer necessary." Behind her, a massive structure shimmered into view, a ring of impossible proportions, constructed of materials that seemed to shift between dimensions. The Council's senior scientists leaned forward, their various sensory organs straining to comprehend what they were seeing. "This is the Mobius Gate," Elena continued, "the first of many. It doesn't tunnel through space, or create wormholes, or rely on hyperspace. It simply removes distance itself." As if to demonstrate, a human vessel approached the gate. There was no dramatic energy buildup, no complex calculations, no careful navigation. The ship simply passed through one side of the ring, and emerged instantly at another gate over 50,000 light-years away. In the Concordat's emergency command center, high-speaker Xylax's crystalline form vibrated with disbelief. Impossible. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical using conventional physics. Ambassador Chen's voice cut in as her hologram appeared alongside Elena's. But we stopped thinking in conventional terms a long time ago. The Mobius gates don't require energy to operate. They require understanding. Understanding that space and time aren't barriers to be overcome, but perspectives to be shifted. Across the galaxy, similar gates were revealing themselves, creating a network that made the Council's carefully maintained hyperspace routes obsolete overnight. But this was just the beginning. The gates are merely a demonstration, Elena explained, a proof of concept for something far more fundamental. We've discovered that the universe isn't built on particles or waves or strings. It's built on information. And once you understand that, you can rewrite the rules. To demonstrate, she raised her hand. The space around her seemed to ripple, and suddenly she was physically present in the observatory, having transferred her entire consciousness and body through the quantum information network that humans had secretly spread throughout the galaxy. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives fled in terror, others demanded immediate military action, and a few, mostly from younger species, watched in fascination. How long? The Arxos defense minister asked, their metallic form gleaming under the observatory's lights. How long have you had this capability? Information transfer of consciousness. About 15 years, Elena replied calmly. But we needed to perfect it, ensure it was safe. The Council's approach would have had us test it for centuries before allowing limited trials. We chose a different path. In human space, more revelations were unfolding. The framework that Dr. Morrison had helped create wasn't just a communication network, it was a fundamental restructuring of reality itself. Through it, humans could manipulate matter at the informational level, essentially programming reality like software. We're not here to overthrow the Council, Ambassador Chen assured the stunned assembly. We're here to show you what's possible when you stop fearing advancement and start embracing it. The framework is available to any species willing to join us in pushing the boundaries of what's possible. As she spoke, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Viridian Collective had already begun integrating framework nodes into their systems. The Arxos were requesting immediate access to consciousness transfer technology. Even the ancient Mindweavers, who had spent millennia perfecting their psychic abilities, were expressing interest in human innovations. What you must understand, Dr. Morrison's hologram appeared alongside Elena and Sarah, is that everything we've shown you so far is just the beginning. The framework isn't just a tool, it's a new way of existing. Through it, we can reshape planets, create artificial dimensions, even modify the fundamental constants of physics within controlled spaces. To demonstrate, he gestured at the observatory's central chamber. The laws of gravity shifted subtly, allowing representatives to float or increase their weight at will. Light bent in impossible ways, and time itself seemed to flow differently in different parts of the room. This is what happens when you let go of predetermined paths, Sarah continued. When you stop saying, "This is how it must be done," and start asking, "What else is possible?" The eternal hierarchy's ambassador, their energy form flickering with agitation, moved forward. And what of stability? Of order? Your innovations could destroy the very fabric of civilization. Or they could save it, Elena countered. She projected a series of images, dying stars being rejuvenated through quantum manipulation, barren planets being transformed into garden worlds, diseases being cured through information-based reconstruction of matter. The Council's stability is based on scarcity and control. We're offering abundance and freedom. In the depths of human space, the first public demonstrations of the framework's full capabilities were beginning. Entire solar systems were being linked into vast computational networks. Consciousness could flow freely between organic bodies, synthetic forms, and pure energy states. The boundaries between thought and reality, between mind and matter, were dissolving. Admiral Kexry, still observing from the Eternal Inquiry, watched as his ship's sensors recorded phenomena that defied categorization. "They're not just advancing technology," he reported to the Council. "They're evolving the very nature of existence." The Council's emergency session had turned into a philosophical debate about the nature of progress itself. Younger species argued passionately for embracing human innovations, while older civilizations warned of chaos and destruction. "You fear what we've created," Sarah addressed the Council, "because it doesn't fit into your careful categories and controlled development paths. But look around you. The galaxy is already changing. The only choice now is whether to be part of that change or be left behind by it." As if to emphasize her point, the first non-human consciousness transfer was successfully completed. A young Viridian scientist, their mind carried through the framework, appeared in the chamber. Their joy and wonder at the experience was palpable, a living testament to the possibilities humanity had unleashed. "The age of regulated progress is over," Sarah declared. "We invite all species to join us in exploring what's possible when imagination is unleashed and innovation is embraced. The framework is open to any civilization ready to take that step." As the session ended, representatives rushed to contact their governments. The galactic order wasn't just shifting, it was transforming at a fundamental level. Humanity had done more than reveal advanced technology. They had introduced a new way of thinking about existence itself. Dr. Morrison, watching from Earth, smiled as the reports came in. "Phase 3 complete," he noted. "Shall we show them what's next?" Sarah nodded, her expression both excited and serious. "The real revelation is still to come. Time to show them why we call it the Transcendence Protocol." The galaxy held its breath, knowing that whatever came next would reshape civilization in ways no one, except perhaps humanity, had ever imagined possible. Power shift. The Concordat's ancient halls, once the unquestioned center of galactic governance, stood half-empty. Where representatives of 300 species once gathered, barely 100 remained. The others had relocated to Earth's newly constructed Collaborative Innovation Center, a structure that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. High-speaker Xylax faced the diminished assembly, their crystalline form showing visible stress patterns. The Viridian Collective has formally withdrawn from the Concordat. This marks the 47th species to abandon our union in favor of. They paused, the translator struggling to convey their mix of emotions, in favor of humanity's alternative development protocol. In the observation gallery, Ambassador Chen watched quietly. The past month had seen more change in galactic society than the previous 1,000 years. The careful hierarchies and power structures that had maintained order for millennia were crumbling, not through violence or coercion, but through choice. On the frontier world of New Arcturus, Dr. Elena Santos guided the first joint human-alien research team in implementing framework technology. The Mindweavers, once proud of their unique psychic abilities, had discovered that merging their natural talents with human quantum consciousness tech created something entirely new. "The neural patterns are stabilizing," reported Kivel, a young Mindweaver whose iridescent form pulsed with excitement. "The framework is responding to pure thought. No interface required." Elena nodded, watching as the alien scientist manipulated quantum fields with a combination of psychic power and framework protocols. "This is exactly what we hoped for. Each species brings their own unique perspective, their own capabilities. Together, we're creating things none of us could achieve alone." The implications rippled across the galaxy. The Arxos, masters of metallic technology, began combining their living metal with human quantum engineering. The Viridians, experts in biological sciences, discovered ways to merge organic life with the framework itself. Each collaboration produced innovations that would have been deemed impossible under Council protocols. In the secure chambers of the Eternal Hierarchy, the oldest members of the Council met in emergency session. Their energy forms crackled with agitation as they reviewed the latest reports. "The humans aren't just sharing technology," Elder Vorks observed. their ancient consciousness struggling to accept the data. They're encouraging every species to develop in their own unique direction. It's chaos. No, corrected Admiral Kexry, invited to speak despite his relatively junior status. It's evolution. Look at these advancement rates. Species working with humanity are developing faster than at any point in recorded history, yet there's been no increase in conflicts, no technological disasters. Back on Earth, Dr. Morrison led a tour through the Collaborative Innovation Center for representatives of newly arrived species. The structure itself demonstrated humanity's new approach. Each section adapted instantly to the biological and psychological needs of its occupants. The old council believed in controlled linear progress, he explained to the diverse group. Everyone following the same path, reaching the same conclusions. But the universe isn't linear. Why should progress be? A holographic display showed the growing network of framework connections spanning the galaxy. Each node glowed with different colors, representing the unique contributions and innovations of different species. It was beautiful, organic, alive with possibility. The Transcendence Protocol isn't just about advancing technology, Morrison continued. It's about advancing consciousness itself. Each species brings their own unique perspective on reality. By sharing those perspectives, we all grow. In deep space, aboard the research vessel Eternal Inquiry, Admiral Kexry made a decision that would change everything. His 4 eyes focused on the quantum communication array as he prepared to address the council. "Honorable Council," he began, his mandibles clicking with determination. "As Chief Scientific Observer, I must formally recommend that the Concordat dissolve its current power structure and join humanity's initiative." The chamber erupted in shock. Kexry continued, undaunted. "I have spent months studying human innovations. What they offer isn't chaos. It's genuine progress. They've proven that advancement doesn't require control. It requires freedom, creativity, and collaboration." On countless worlds, the impact of this new approach was becoming clear. The Mindweavers, combining their psychic abilities with the framework, had created vast consciousness networks that spanned entire solar systems. The Arxos had transformed their metal worlds into living computational engines that could process reality itself. The Viridians had evolved their biological mastery to blur the lines between organic and digital existence. In the Concordat's Emergency Command Center, High Speaker Zoilax received another report that shook the foundations of their crystalline form. The Eternal Hierarchy, the oldest and most conservative faction in the Council, had split. Its younger members had voted to explore collaboration with humanity, leaving their elders isolated in their resistance. "We're receiving requests for framework integration from 93% of Council worlds," an aide reported. "The old system, it's not just changing, it's transforming completely." Sarah Chen stood in the new Galactic Collaboration Chamber on Earth, watching representatives from across the galaxy work together in ways that would have been unimaginable months ago. Species that had once competed for resources now shared innovations freely. Ancient rivals collaborated on projects that benefited all. "You've succeeded beyond our highest expectations," Dr. Morrison said, joining her at the observation window. "The power shift we anticipated has become a complete renaissance." Sarah smiled, but her expression held a hint of anticipation. "This is still just the beginning. The Transcendence Protocol's final phase is about to begin, and it will make everything we've shown them so far look primitive in comparison." Above them, through the quantum-enhanced viewing field, they could see ships of impossible configurations moving through space. Each vessel represented a different species' interpretation of framework technology, each one beautiful and unique in its own way. The rigid, standardized designs of the Council era were giving way to an explosion of creativity and innovation. The old guard called it chaos, Sarah mused, watching a Mindweaver ship phase between dimensions. They never understood that true order comes from freedom, not control. When you let species develop according to their own nature, they don't just advance, they transcend. As if to emphasize her point, a new alert flashed across the global network. The first joint human-alien consciousness had successfully merged with the framework itself, achieving a state of existence that defied conventional understanding. The age of controlled progress was truly over. The galaxy was entering a new era, one where the only limits were those of imagination itself. And humanity, the species that had been deemed too unpredictable to join the galactic community, had become the architects of its transformation.